Thank you for entrusting me with your daughter for the past year. Upon returning from her trip abroad, my sister-in-law arrived at our house without hesitation. She attempted to take my daughter, who was about to turn 1, thanking me for looking after her for a year. In a panic, I stopped her, explaining that the child was indeed my own. However, she did not fully grasp the situation. Nonetheless, I left her in the yard, unaware of what was to come next. Her shocking words sent shivers down my spine. Once she realized that my surprise was genuine, her face began to pale. This was the beginning of a vast commotion sparked by my sister-in-law. It all started about a year and a half ago when Valencia, my 25-year-old sister-in-law, suddenly returned to her parents' home with a baby. My husband had suddenly been transferred abroad, but I worried about raising our minor child in a foreign country. It was all so unfamiliar. I see, I'm pregnant too. I hope our children can be friends, I thought. If it's Bologna's child, they're bound to be adorable. It felt strange to think I'd be friends with my sister-in-law. Valencia was outgoing and quickly spoke to me without hesitation, even though I was 2 years older. This made me feel like we could get along well. Even after I gave birth, I lived in a detached house with my 30-year-old husband, while Valencia would live with her parents. It's nice that Valencia's house is close by. We can meet up any time, I thought. I assumed we would get along well with her and my parents-in-law. However, I soon realized that this was naive. After moving back in with her parents, Valencia gradually began to show her true colors. Sorry, Bologna, I have an urgent matter and can't take care of my child. Can you look after her? Sure, but what happened? My dad threw out his back. I need to buy some patches for him. Feeling sorry for her, I gladly took care of her baby. However, this became a regular occurrence, with Valencia constantly finding reasons to leave her child with me. But there were other problems. Sorry, I need you to look after my child again today, Bologna. Valencia, you're lying to me, aren't you? What? Why would you say that? Her exaggerated reaction made me sigh. Do you think I don't know anything? Your father has never had a bad back in his life. Did I say that? I don't remember. She couldn't even remember her lies. But that's not all. A neighbor said she saw you out and about in town. Huh? Who ratted me out? No, I mean, it must have been someone who looked like me. Who do you believe, that old lady or your sister-in-law? Despite her tight attempt to appeal to me, I was not swayed by her poor acting. Just take care of your child. I won't be helping you anymore. What? Why? That's so mean of you. Valencia threw a tantrum like a child, but suddenly stopped as if she had an idea. Fine. I'll make you want to take care of my child on your own. What do you mean? Without answering my question, she smirked, picked up the baby, and left our house, leaving me feeling uneasy. I consulted with my husband and in-laws to warn my sister-in-law Valencia, but it was like talking to a wall. She continued to show no signs of remorse or understanding. Moreover, she concocted a plan. One afternoon, while I was dozing on the couch with my pregnant belly, I heard a baby crying. Is it from a neighbor's house? But it sounds too close, I thought. As I pondered, my phone rang. Hello, this is Bologna. Oh, hey, Bologna, please take care of my child. What? Didn't I tell you last time that I won't be taking care of your child anymore? Valencia laughed as if my response was amusing. It's too late. I already left my child at your doorstep a while ago. Rushing to the door, I found a baby crying on my doorstep. Valencia, what are you thinking? Well, you were being mean, so I had no choice. Her tone was gleeful, as if she had pulled off a prank. I told you, didn't I? I'd make you want to take care of my child. You wouldn't leave a baby on the doorstep, right? Stop joking. Where are you now? Guess, though I suppose it's hard for you to go out since you're pregnant. Valencia laughed and abruptly hung up. My attempts to call her back were met with a turned-off phone. Despite my protests, when she finally returned in the evening, my words fell on deaf ears. This scenario repeated several times until I reluctantly began to check the doorstep and take the baby whenever Valencia called. Valencia unapologetically claimed she was doing me a favor by giving me practice for my upcoming childbirth, expecting gratitude in return. I'm not asking for thanks, but isn't there something to be said about attitude? I grew increasingly irritated and stressed by her behavior. This continued for 6 months until an incident occurred a year ago. Going abroad for a bit. That note was all Valencia left before disappearing suddenly. No one knew where she went, but it wasn't shocking given her history of impromptu trips funded by her part-time job earnings. My husband casually mentioned, "It's nothing new. She probably went to see her husband since he was transferred overseas." We assumed she took her baby to meet its father. Caught up in our turmoil, our family hardly spoke of Valencia. Shortly before her disappearance, I went into labor 2 weeks early and was rushed to the hospital, unprepared for the sudden birth of our beloved daughter. In the chaos of an unexpected delivery and adjusting to new parenthood, conversations about Valencia faded. Before we knew it, a year had passed since her departure. As my daughter's first birthday approached, Valencia disrupted our peaceful life once again. "I'm back," her familiar voice echoed from the unlocked front door. "What, Valencia? You're back from overseas?" Ignoring my words, she walked straight to my daughter. "Thanks for taking care of my daughter for a year." Then she abruptly attempted to take my child away. "Hey, what are you doing to my child?" I quickly took her back. Valencia frowned in confusion. "Come on, just because you've had her for a year doesn't mean you get to act all motherly. This child is genuinely my daughter." "Hey, would you take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel? Thanks." Both of us were confused for a while. "Valencia, didn't you take your child with you overseas?" "What are you talking about? I left her in your yard." "What?" It seemed our conversation was missing each other, but something terrible might be happening. "You said you left a child for a year when you went abroad. You left her in my yard." And that's what I've been saying. That time, I had just given birth to this child and was hospitalized due to poor health. So I don't know where your child is now. Shocked by the revelation, Valencia's face turned pale as she stuttered in disbelief. "This is serious. We need to call the police." But as I reached for my phone, Valencia grabbed my arm with trembling hands. "Wait, please don't call the police." "But how can we not?" "Please, I'll be in huge trouble if you do." Valencia seemed terrified. Sensing the gravity of the situation, I decided to inform our family instead and called our in-laws and my husband to explain the situation. However, when I turned around after ending the call, Valencia was nowhere to be seen. I can't believe she ran away the moment I looked away. How irresponsible can she be? That was the moment my anger towards Valencia exploded. After receiving my call, my husband and in-laws gathered at our house. According to my husband, there indeed had been a baby in the yard while I was giving birth and hospitalized. He had little involvement with Valencia's child and, assuming she had taken the baby abroad, had contacted the police to take care of the unknown infant. With all the focus on our newborn, the memory of that incident had wholly slipped our minds. Valencia's child would have been about 1.5 years old by the time she returned. Valencia likely mistook my child for her own due to their close ages. After consulting with the police about the situation, we discovered the baby was at an orphanage, which was a relief. I decided to leave Valencia's child's care to my husband and in-laws. What concerned me more was Valencia's panic, which seemed unusual. That level of panic from Valencia was not typical. There must be something more to this. My intuition proved correct when I decided to take a specific action. We need to teach her a lesson. I had a trump card against Valencia, which I hadn't been sure I'd ever use, but there was no need to hesitate now. I decided it was time to teach her a lesson. A week later, with everything prepared, I called Valencia. After several rings, she hesitantly answered. "Valencia, your child has been found. You can relax now. Come back home," I said, believing my words. Valencia casually arrived at our house and rang the doorbell. "Phew, I was so worried. Glad she's been found." She laughed carelessly as she entered our living room, but she was greeted by an unexpected sight. "What the? Truman and Jamin, why are you guys here?" Sitting on the sofa was Valencia's husband, or rather her ex-husband Truman, and sitting on the floor was her affair partner Jamin. Truman frowned deeply at his ex-wife, glaring at her. Jamin looked on with a sad face as if he was about to cry. "This is bad." She turned to make her escape from our house, but my father-in-law, a large man, was standing guard at the entrance, blocking her way out. Consequently, Valencia ended up sitting on the floor alongside her affair partner Jamin, receiving a lecture from my husband, her ex-husband, and our in-laws. "Come on, it's fine now. The child is safe, right?" As Valencia puffed out her cheeks in defiance, Truman, with a chilly look, said, "If you can't even take care of the child, then you should return the custody and the child support payments." When I contacted Truman, he revealed that everything Valencia had told us was utterly false. He had not been transferred overseas, and they had divorced due to her infidelity. However, during the divorce, Valencia had forcefully taken custody of their child and had been receiving substantial child support payments from Truman. Even when the infidelity comes from the custodial parent, they are still entitled to child support. This is why Valencia desperately tried to prevent me from calling the police, fearing the consequences if it was discovered she wasn't taking care of their child. I was utterly dismayed by her selfishness. "Bologna, you have to help me. I can't pay back the child support." "What? But you made me take care of the baby, didn't you? There's no escaping that. Don't make stuff up. Where's your proof?" As she screamed hysterically, I calmly showed her the footage from my phone. It showed Valencia leaving the baby at our doorstep and walking away. "What? When did you take this?" "Since you started leaving your child on my doorstep, I installed a security camera for safety. It would be terrible if something happened to the baby." This was my trump card. I had recorded this footage in anticipation of a moment when it might be helpful, though I never thought I'd use it. "This footage proves you haven't been fulfilling your parental duties. Wouldn't the child be happier being raised by Truman?" Valencia, biting her lip and growling lowly, suddenly clung to Jamin, who was sitting next to her, bursting into tears. Help me, Jamin. Everyone's bullying me." However, Jamin, who seemed to have only considered Valencia a casual fling, gently pushed her away, saying, "Well, I have another family. I feel betrayed too. Who do you think paid for our round-the-world cruise? So the child support went on a splurge around the world, huh?" Valencia covered her mouth in shock, but the words she had let slip could not be taken back. "So when you said you were going abroad for a year, you were actually on a world cruise with your lover, using up the child's support, and now you can't pay Truman back?" "Yeah, so what? Is that so bad?" As Valencia defiantly gave up, I didn't hold back my criticism. "Then I'll have to call the police." "Wait, please, I'm sorry, just forgive me." Valencia finally showed remorse, sobbing and repeatedly prostrating herself on the floor. However, I couldn't afford to be lenient. "So that you know, I won't forget how you've treated your child and me. You better reflect on your actions." After my firm statement, Valencia was taken away by the police. She was arrested and her daughter was returned to Truman, who regained custody. Valencia is now required to pay a monthly child support of $500 until the child comes of age. Cut off by my husband and in-laws, Valencia faces a thorny path. Even if she gets out of jail, Jamin too wasn't spared. His wife filed for divorce and demanded compensation. As for me, I'm living a harmonious life with my husband and our daughter. Every day is a joy and a discovery as we watch our daughter grow. Let's conclude the story. Valencia's deceitful actions, driven by selfishness and desperation, ultimately led to her downfall. Her manipulative attempts to evade responsibility for her child backfired spectacularly when the truth came to light. Through careful planning and decisive action, the consequences of her actions caught up with her. As Valencia faced the repercussions of her deceit, she was confronted with the reality of her betrayal and the harm she had caused. Her tears and apologies couldn't undo the damage she had wrought, and the law held her accountable for her actions. With Valencia's arrest and her daughter safely returned to her rightful custody, Truman, her ex-husband, found closure and justice. Valencia's journey ahead would be arduous, marked by the weight of her mistakes and the consequences she must face. Meanwhile, my family and I found solace in the knowledge that justice prevailed, and our daughter's safety remained paramount. Our harmonious life continued, filled with love, growth, and the joy of watching our daughter flourish. In the end, Valencia's downfall served as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the importance of integrity, responsibility, and the consequences of our actions. As we move forward, may we learn from her mistakes and strive to build a better, more compassionate world for ourselves and those around us. Thanks for watching. How did you find the story? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more awesome stories like this. Your feedback and support mean a lot.